Let me ask you something. What if disappearing is the most powerful move you'll ever make? He pulled away, didn't respond, acted distant. Maybe he thought you'd break, that you'd spiral into panic, typing long messages, overthinking, begging for answers. But you didn't. You vanished. And that was the plot twist. Because chasing someone who's already walking away is like running on a treadmill that's on fire. You're exhausting yourself and burning your self-worth at the same time. And the cruel irony, the more you chase, the more they run. But what happens when you do the opposite? When you don't explain, don't fight, don't give them a front row seat to your breakdown. Instead, you go silent. You pull your energy back. You become unavailable, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. This video isn't about games. It's about psychology, about what really happens when the one who always showed up stops. In the next few minutes, we're breaking down the real reason disappearing flips the dynamic, the science behind emotional detachment, and why men often come back after you stop chasing. If you've ever felt like your silence didn't matter, you need to see what happens when you own it. Because the truth is, sometimes your absence teaches the lesson your presence never could. So don't go anywhere. This might just change how you show up for yourself forever. You see, when you pull away, especially if you were the one always reaching out, always holding the connection together, his initial reaction isn't calm or collected, like he might pretend. It's shock, followed by confusion. He may not show it right away. He may even act completely unaffected, post on social media like nothing happened, or double down on the silence. But behind that mask, there's a question spinning in his head. Wait, why isn't she chasing me? Because whether he realized it or not, your energy was a comfort. Your effort, your availability, your emotional investment, it gave him the control. It reassured him that no matter what he did, you'd still be there. So when that safety net suddenly disappears, it triggers something primal in him. It's not just about missing you, it's about losing the upper hand. And that's what starts the confusion. He replays the last conversation. He stalks your social media without liking anything. He starts to wonder, did she meet someone else? Is she really over me? Did she stop caring? Just like that. That confusion, it creates a mental loop, and loops keep people hooked. See, men don't always process emotions the way women do. They often delay the impact. So when you're gone, the silence starts echoing, and he doesn't hear nothing. He hears the absence of everything you used to give. That warmth, the check-ins, the attention, all of it is now missing. And here's the part he didn't expect. He thought he had time to push you away, ignore your effort, weigh his options. But your silence tells him something louder than words ever could. His time ran out. So while he's posting stories or acting unbothered, inside, he's spiraling. Not just because you're gone, but because you walked away without needing closure, validation, or revenge. You just left, quietly, powerfully, and that's when it hits him. Silence isn't just the absence of words. It's a message in itself. And when you go silent after being emotionally available, attentive, and consistent, it triggers more in him than you might ever realize. At first, he may convince himself that your silence is temporary, that you're trying to teach him a lesson, that you'll come back just like before. But when that silence continues, when hours turn into days and your name doesn't appear in his notifications, it starts to gnaw at him. Not because he misses the sound of your voice, but because he doesn't know what's going on in your mind. Silence creates mystery, and mystery breeds curiosity. Curiosity turns into overthinking, and overthinking, that's when the shift begins. He starts questioning, did she move on? Was she really the over me? Was she faking how much she cared before? He wants answers, but he has no access. And that's what drives him a little crazy. Not knowing what you're thinking, feeling, or doing. See, when you were constantly available, he didn't have to guess. He had certainty. And people only begin to value what they once had when its absence becomes loud enough to make them uncomfortable. That's what your silence does. It forces discomfort. It makes him sit in the void he helped create. But here's where it gets deeper. Silence removes his ability to control the narrative. When you're not reacting, not explaining, not defending, he doesn't know how to respond. And if he's someone who's used to emotional power plays or attention-driven dynamics, your silence strips away his favorite weapon, your need for closure. When you say nothing, he hears everything. It says, I'm not going to fight for a place in your life anymore. It says, I've accepted the distance and I'm not chasing clarity. It says, you're no longer the center of my world. And that's powerful, because silence isn't weakness. It's restraint. It's emotional self-control. It's choosing not to argue your value, not because you're indifferent, but because you've chosen you over convincing someone else to. The silence reminds him that your presence was a choice, not a guarantee. It forces him to recognize that he took it for granted. And even if he doesn't admit it out loud, something inside him starts to shift. He remembers the small things, your laugh, the way you supported him, how you checked in even when he didn't deserve it. And with no new input from you, those memories play on a loop. That's how emotional seeds grow. Not when you're talking, but when you're gone and they're left alone with the echo. So no, silence isn't passive. It's intentional. It's active. And most of all, it's effective. Disappearing doesn't just create space. It creates value. And that's something most people don't understand until they do it. When you're constantly available, always texting first, over-explaining your feelings, or trying to fix what someone else broke, you unknowingly teach them that your presence is guaranteed, that they can show up however they want, and you'll still be there. But the moment you disappear, the moment you remove your energy, your emotional labor, your loyalty, that's when your value begins to surface. Because value isn't recognized in noise. It's recognized in the void that follows your absence. When you're gone, he finally has the silence to reflect. And it's in that silence that he begins to see everything you used to bring, the patience, the check-ins, the support, the consistency. Those things become clearer when they're no longer available on demand. He starts remembering what life was like when your energy was a constant, and now it's missing, just gone. You see, people don't chase what's always chasing them. But when something or someone they took for granted suddenly disappears without begging, warning, or making a dramatic exit, it shocks the system. That shock creates scarcity, and scarcity increases value. It's basic human psychology. We value what we believe we can't have, not what we think will always be within reach. Your disappearance disrupts that belief. It reminds him that your love wasn't owed, it was offered, freely, and now it's gone. Here's the truth. When you walk away with quiet confidence, not drama, not bitterness, just detachment, you shift from being an option to being a mystery. And mystery is magnetic, because now he's not sure how you feel. He doesn't know what you're thinking. He's left wondering if you even care anymore. That unknown creates tension, and tension builds attraction. And even if he never says it out loud, he starts watching you differently, from a distance. Maybe he checks your stories. Maybe he asks mutual friends how you're doing. Maybe he doesn't say anything at all, but internally, he feels it, your absence as weight. Disappearing shows emotional discipline. It says, I don't need to prove my worth. I know it. And that energy, that silent, confident pullback, it's rare, and it's unforgettable. So no, disappearing isn't about ghosting or playing games. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about choosing peace over performing for someone else's attention. It's the moment you stop making room for people who weren't making space for you. And when you disappear without explanation, not to punish, but to protect your peace, you don't just walk away, you rise. And the higher you rise, the more they realize what they lost. That's why disappearing increases your value, because you no longer place it in their hands. There comes a moment, maybe days later, maybe weeks, when the silence finally sinks in. And that's when he starts to miss you. Not because he suddenly became a better communicator, not because he realized everything overnight, but because human nature kicks in. We crave what we can no longer access. We miss the warmth after we've turned off the heat. At first he tells himself he's fine. He scrolls, he distracts himself, maybe even starts texting someone new. He convinces himself that your silence doesn't bother him, that he's unfazed, but it's not real. It's a performance, even if the audience is just himself. Because eventually something triggers the memory of you. A song, a place, a random thought that hits him when he's not trying to think about anything at all. And suddenly the version of you that he didn't appreciate in real time becomes romanticized in hindsight. He doesn't just miss you, he misses the way you made him feel. The way you cared without asking for anything. The way you listened, even when he had nothing meaningful to say. The way your presence felt safe, even when the world felt chaotic. And now it's gone. And this time, you didn't make a dramatic exit. You didn't beg him to talk. You didn't send one last long message trying to fix it all. You just stopped showing up. That quiet exit. It stays with him longer than any confrontation ever could. He starts wondering, did I push her too far? Was she really that done? Is someone else giving her what I didn't? That's when the ego takes a hit. Because it's not just about missing you. It's about realizing he's no longer the one who gets access to you. And that's where the regret begins to bubble up. What he thought was a temporary silence is starting to feel permanent. And that permanence starts to sting. Especially when he sees you living, laughing, glowing, without him. He might test the waters, send a casual hey, or like an old post. Not because he's ready to give you what you deserved before, but because he wants to see if you'll still respond the way you used to. He misses the version of you who would drop everything at the first sign of attention. The question is, does that version still exist? Missing you isn't about the loss of a person, it's about the loss of an experience. And when you disappear without closure, he's forced to sit with that loss. No explanations, no comfort, just the realization that he took something rare and let it go. And in that silence, he doesn't just hear the absence of your voice, he hears the echo of his own choices. That's when he truly starts to miss you. Eventually, he reaches out. Maybe it's a short message. Hey, how have you been? Or something more subtle, like reacting to your story, liking an old post, sending a meme he knows will catch your attention. It might feel casual, even harmless, but it's not. It's a test. He's checking to see if the door is still open, if your energy is still available, if you'll break your silence the moment he tosses you breadcrumbs. And here's where your strength is tested. Not when he left, not when you cried, not when you disappeared. Now, because now he's giving you the very thing you once begged for attention. A response, a little sign that maybe he still cares. But you're not the same person anymore, are you? Back then, you would have jumped at the chance to talk. You'd have overanalyzed the message, screenshotted it to your friends, carefully crafted a reply. But now you understand something deeper. A message doesn't equal effort. A text doesn't equal change. You learn the difference between missing someone and going back to what broke you. And just because he's reaching out doesn't mean he's grown, healed, or ready to give you what you deserve. Sometimes he reaches out because he misses the control, not the connection. This is where you stay strong. You don't have to be rude. You don't need to get revenge. But you owe it to yourself to pause, to ask, what do I really want from this conversation? What will this give me that I don't already have within myself? Because the goal isn't to get him back. The goal is to not lose yourself if he tries to come back. If his message feels shallow, if he's not showing real effort, if he's still acting like he's doing you a favor by simply showing up, you already know the answer. You don't respond from loneliness. You respond from clarity. And clarity sometimes means not replying at all. Staying strong doesn't mean you never feel tempted. It means you choose not to go backwards just because your heart remembers the good times. You've grown through the silence. You've found peace without closure. Don't trade all of that progress for a few temporary words from someone who couldn't show up when it mattered most. Remember, if he really wants you, he'll prove it with consistency, not convenience. So if he's just checking in, just testing the waters, just looking for an ego boost, you already know that's not love. That's emotional laziness disguised as interest. Stay strong. You didn't come this far just to fall for the same pattern dressed in new packaging. Silence was your strength then, and it can still be now. Walking away isn't just a moment, it's a decision that echoes long after the door closes. At first it feels like a mix of freedom and grief. You've removed yourself from something that no longer served you, but you also walk away from the version of yourself that held on so tightly. And that's not easy. There's no applause for choosing peace. No instant reward for silence. Just the quiet knowing that you finally chose yourself. But over time, that decision starts to shape you. You stop looking for validation in unread messages or indirect social media posts. You stop wondering what he's thinking, or if he's missing you, because little by little you begin to realize it doesn't matter anymore. Not in the way it once did. What starts to matter is how you feel about you. The long-term impact of walking away is not just about what you leave behind. It's about everything you make space for: clarity, emotional safety, self-trust, and eventually real love, the kind that doesn't make you question your worth. You start attracting people who don't just want your presence, they respect it. You recognize red flags faster. You stop negotiating with emotional crumbs. And the best part, you no longer chase peace from others, because you've found it within yourself. And for him, the impact is different. He may not feel it right away, but eventually he will. Because when a woman walks away with dignity, when she chooses silence over begging, distance over drama, she becomes unforgettable. Not because she made noise, but because she didn't have to. You'll live in the back of his mind, not as someone who was weak or needy, but as the one who left without needing to be asked to go. The one who held the door open for herself and never looked back. That's a different kind of memory. One that lingers. And here's what's even more powerful. When you walk away, you don't do it to prove a point. You do it because you've outgrown the cycle. You do it for the girl who once stayed too long, tolerated too much, gave too freely. You do it because you finally understand that love is not meant to be earned through suffering. The long-term impact of walking away is the rebirth of your standards. You raise them not out of bitterness, but out of experience. You're no longer available for relationships that require you to abandon yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. So yes, walking away hurts in the beginning, but it heals you in the end. And one day, without warning, you'll look back at the version of you who stayed and feel nothing but gratitude for the version who finally walked away because she saved your life. Reclaiming your power isn't about proving something to him. It's not about winning or losing, begging or chasing. It's about you, your peace, your boundaries, your worth. After all the silence, all the walking away, all the moments where you chose yourself over the noise, this is where your real power lives. Power comes when you stop waiting for validation from someone who never gave it freely. It comes when you stop shrinking to fit into someone else's expectations and start expanding to embrace your own truth. It's not about controlling others, it's about controlling how you respond, how you heal, and how you rise. When you reclaim your power, you rewrite the story. You move from being the one who chases to the one who attracts, from being the one who's hurt to the one who's healed, from losing yourself in someone else's chaos to finding yourself in your own calm. And here's the key. Power is quiet. It doesn't scream or demand attention. It shows up in your confidence, in your boundaries, and in your refusal to settle for less than you deserve. It's the calm knowing that you are enough, no matter what anyone else says or does. Reclaiming your power means choosing yourself every single day, choosing to walk away when it's no longer healthy, choosing to stay silent when words would only drain you, choosing to love yourself fiercely, even when it feels hard. This journey isn't easy. It takes courage to disappear when all you want to do is reach out. It takes strength to stay strong when he finally tries to come back. And it takes wisdom to see that your value has always been inside you, not in anyone else's approval. But when you commit to this path, something incredible happens. You start attracting people who match your energy, people who respect your boundaries and cherish your presence. You create space for relationships built on mutual respect and genuine connection. And most importantly, you become a beacon of self-love and empowerment, inspiring others to do the same. So remember, walking away wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The beginning of reclaiming your life, your joy, and your power. You don't have to chase what doesn't want to stay. You don't have to prove your worth to anyone. You are already whole, already worthy, and already enough. Stand tall in your silence, walk confidently in your absence, and live boldly in your truth. Because that's the kind of power that no one can take away. We've come to the end of this journey, but it's really just the beginning for you. If you found value in learning why disappearing can be the most powerful move and how reclaiming your power changes everything, then don't stop here. Your growth is a process, and the best way to keep moving forward is to keep feeding your mind with the right tools, insights, and support. So before you go, I've handpicked a few must-watch videos that will deepen your understanding and empower you even more. First, check out how to set boundaries that he'll respect, because knowing when and how to say no is key to protecting your peace and elevating your worth. This video breaks down practical steps that are easy to implement, no matter where you are in your journey. Next, dive into the psychology behind emotional detachment, where we explore why stepping back emotionally isn't cold or cruel, but necessary for your mental health and long-term happiness.